Hi guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. We're talking all things paying more into your car loan. But remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA. So many of you might know the car that I drive right now and how long it took me to save for my car. So back in 2015, I remember saying I would like to drive a Range Rover Sport, and I put it actually on my Instagram page. And luckily for me, I had said 5 years, in 5 years' time, I will drive this car. And luckily for me, as I said, in 5 years, I did get the opportunity to be able to buy the car that I really wanted. I can't call it the car of my dreams because obviously my dreams changed from 2015 up until 2020. But I eventually got the opportunity to buy the car that I really wanted, right? So obviously, I had saved up for a very large deposit. And I then also got finance on the car. So the car is part financed and part a huge deposit that I put on it so that I could simply pay a much smaller monthly installment every single month. So then I think maybe 3 months after getting the car, I then toyed around with the idea of putting in more money into the car, not really being sure what it's going to do. So, you know, with a home loan, because it's an access account, you kind of know what exactly your money is going to do because it does it immediately when you put additional money into your home loan. Essentially, there's always a recalculation of how much you're going to pay every single month, and you get charged even less monthly in terms of the interest that they're charging on the account. So you can literally immediately see the changes that happen when you pay in a certain amount of money over and above your monthly installment in a home loan. But I did not know how it works on a car loan because generally a car loan, most car loans or most vehicle asset finances are what we call simple interest. They charge simple interest, or all the costs are charged up front and you would pay a certain amount of money. And when you do pay additional amounts of money, instead of it really changing the interest that you're paying or the monthly installment, it sits there waiting for you to give the loan house or the lender an instruction as to what to do with your money. So I put 295,000 Rand additional over and above the amount of money that I was already owing and the deposit that I already paid, right? And I sat on it. I really thought something was going to happen. So I would get my statement every single month. My installment would go off and I'd get my statement. My installment would go off and I'd get my statement. Eventually I was like, no man, something's really off here. Let me actually read what the statement says. So when I read the statement, it says there at the bottom, advance payment. So there's an advance payment that has been made into my account. So I had this advance payment of 295,000 Rand just simply sitting there, and it does not do anything to my installment, doesn't do anything to, so there is a point where they say real outstanding amount, which is now when they capitalize the 295 into how much I actually owe, and they give me a figure. However, the same installment that I started the loan with is the same one that is still going off my account. So I was like, no, man, something is really off here. You know what? I got busy with life, started ignoring it. And then eventually just one day I'm like, no. In fact, the day I actually did that video around what happens if you can no longer afford your installment, right? Now, by the way, of all my installments, this one has been the one that kind of stressed me out because it's like, what happens if I lose everything? What happens if the gigs don't come anymore? Because also my book is slowing down. What happens if I don't have enough money to pay for the car? What do I do? So I toyed around with the idea of saying maybe I should pay all my promo gigs into the car and finish it off and put it away. Or maybe that advance payment that I've paid in, would it be possible for me to get it back so that I can reinvest that amount of money into something else? So I sent my banker an email, a WhatsApp, and I'm like, hey, can you please find out what happened to my advance payment that I paid into the car? So he's like, okay, I'll do a little bit of work for you. If possible, would you want a refund? So I'm like, yeah, I feel like there's so many other things I could do. I mean, I want to be a farmer, so I need money to buy seedlings. I need money to buy chickens. There's a whole lot of things I want to do. I'd rather take that money and reinvest it into something else because I'm still managing to pay my installment, even though there are moments when I do panic about that installment, right? So he goes for 2 days, he comes back, he says, hey, Nicolette, unfortunately, West Bank says they cannot refund you that money because it's been sitting in, it's been more than 3 months. So generally what happens is apparently because West Bank is not a transactional bank, they're not a traditional transactional bank, they will only refund you if you made the advance payment by mistake, and they give you up to 3 months to kind of figure out whether it was a mistake or not, right? So I'm like, okay, so what can they do for me? And he's like, well, one of the things that can happen is that there's a thing called capital reduction. So basically, they will take that 295 and add it on to the amount of money I owe and reduce the capital. Remember, again, very important, we've had this conversation when we talk about home loans, is how they calculate how much interest you're going to pay overall the account. So basically what happens is the capital, which is the amount of money that they actually use to buy the car on your behalf, that's the money that they then calculate against the interest rate, or using the interest rate that they're charging you to figure out how much you must pay over the loan period. So I then and then he said, would you like a capital reduction? This will also reduce your installment. I was like, sharp, let's do that actually, because you know what? I've been panicking about this installment and stressing about it in case something happens to me and I can't afford to pay it every single month. So sharp, fair. And then I get a call this one day. It's from a representative from West Bank. It's like, hey, Miss Mashile, can I speak to you? I'm like, actually can't speak right now. Let's speak on another day. So eventually today we had a conversation and he says, listen, we can offer you a capital reduction. I'm like, well, it's not an offer. It's not an offer. Should be getting the capital reduction. This is not an offer. We're not doing each other favors here. But anyway, he was a very nice gentleman. So we had the conversation. So basically, he's like, we'll offer you a capital reduction. That means we'll recalculate the actual monthly installment, because now you've reduced the money or the total outstanding balance on which we calculate how much you should be paying every single month. Weird that they didn't do that when the money was just sitting there. But anyway, it's called capitalizing the advance payment that you've made in, right? So fine, he recalculates. Guys, let me tell you the craziest thing. With this 295 that I've paid into the car, my installment is literally reducing by, okay, let me calculate. It's reducing by almost 6,000 Rand. My installment is reducing by almost 6,000 Rand. So I have taken back 6,000 Rand from West Bank. That is crazy. I can now channel, because anyway, I was already paid the 6,000 Rand over and above. I can now take back my 6,000 Rand and channel that money into like buying USD shares. I mean, I can actually buy myself 6,000 Rand worth of USD shares every single month. Or I can put that money away into a savings account and actually buy seedlings and the chickens that I need to be able to start my farm. I mean, for me, that is actually insane, right? It's crazy that a huge amount of, if you reduce simply the capital that you actually owe, it is crazy how little you pay. Or my other option, which is another option that I had a conversation with this gentleman. I was like, okay, so what happens if you guys deduct the amount that is now my new installment and I still pay the additional 6,000 Rand? What will happen? He says what will actually happen is that overall, you'll end up paying less on the loan because you are paying it faster than what we had predicted with the loan term. I think the loan term I took was 5 years. So you are actually going to pay less in terms of the interest, because remember, the additional 6,000 Rand that I'm paying is going against now that capital that I actually owe, right? The amount of money that was actually advanced to the dealership to buy the car for me, or to buy the car on my behalf as the bank. So essentially what I would need to happen, because remember, I'm going to probably end up paying faster and before 5 years has passed. So 3 months before the last installment, I need, or 90 days before the last installment, I need to give West Bank a notice to say, I'm about to settle this loan, because they need 3 months notice on cars that are above 250,000 Rand. So you need to give them 3 months so that they don't charge you a settlement fee, or it's called termination fee, a termination of contract. Because remember, I went into a credit agreement with them. So if I terminate before the 5 years, it's basically breach of contract. But I can give them a notice 3 months before my last installment, simply to make sure that they know that I'm about to terminate this contract. So it will make my loan term shorter. That's a good, the benefit. The second benefit is that I will pay less in interest overall, because remember, the interest is calculated as long as you have an outstanding capital balance. So that should be a good thing. So I just thought I should share this information, that yes, it is important to pay additional amounts of money into your car loan. It will really work in your favor. Just know what the circumstances are. And remember that with most car loans, if you just keep paying additional amounts of money and you don't tell them what to do with those amounts of monies, it's just going to sit in your account as an advance payment. So it is very, very important to make sure that you contact your banker or you contact the lender and you explain to them what you want them to do. So this gentleman has actually given me his email address. He says, every single time I've got an advance payment, I just need to call him and let him know there's an advance payment. He can either do one of two things. He can recalculate my installment and make it lower, or essentially we can, that's actually the only option that I've got, because even if it just sits there, I can then pay it over when I'm settling. It will still not make a difference. Rather actually get it recalculated and still pay additional amount of money. So for me, it is better to have the installment recalculated, but pay from the 6,000 that I'm saving, pay 3,000 Rand extra into the car, take the other 3,000 Rand and actually use it for something else. Now that sounds like a better idea. Sounds like better than just paying the installment, the new installment that they're giving me, because that will still make me pay the same amount of interest. Nah? Yeah. Yeah, man. This is pretty cool. Okay, probably not the same amount of interest because the capital is reduced. It means that I will pay less in interest either way. But this is pretty cool. So yeah, maybe it's a good idea to pay extra into your car. But just make sure that you ask them to capitalize the money that you pay extra. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you.